So, Karl Ove Knausgaard, a Norwegian writer who caused something of a sensation back at home when he published a 6 volume fictionalized memoir, I suppose you would call it, called Min Kampf, which is Norwegian for My Struggle, a title which obviously has controversial connotations. It was retitled when published in English. The first volume was titled A Death in the Family, was published last year by Halvorsecker, and describes Karl Over's childhood, his adolescence, talks about drinking, being in a rock band that's a bit rubbish, ordinary adolescent things like that, and also about the way in which he and his brother have to clear out the house in which his father has drunk himself to death. It was an extraordinary book, and it really made quite a big impression on me because he's writing about very mundane, ordinary things for the most part, but writing about them with an attention to detail and with a skill, frankly, as a writer, which most other writers would absolutely kill for. One other critic has said, even when I was bored, I was interested, and that gives you an idea about the quality of the writing. Not everybody agrees. I know there are plenty of people out there who have found the book just plain boring. However, I was hooked and couldn't wait for volume 2, which was published this year, called A Man in Love. The actual cover, looks slightly different to this. This is a proof, but it does allow me to do this, which is obviously great fun. Book 2, A Man in Love, looks at primarily his relationship with his second wife, Linda. Now, he actually met Linda earlier on in his life when he was on a writing course, writing retreat. And in fact, the story of how that just didn't go right for him is extraordinary. He met her, he fancied her, he got drunk and he told her that he fancied her. She said, "That's very lovely, but I think I fancy your friend, actually." And he reacted by getting even drunker and then cutting his face to ribbons with bits of broken glass. This display of fervour clearly didn't have the desired effect. She did go out with his friend for some time, and then he didn't hear about her for years. However, when his first marriage broke down, or when he reached the point where he wanted to leave it, he decided to move to Stockholm in Sweden. And whilst he was there, looking for somewhere to live, one of the places that he went to look at, he looked at the list of names of other tenants in this block of flats, and there was her name. He didn't feel that he could go and live in that block of flats, obviously, because she might think he was stalking her, but they do re-establish contact, they do fall in love, they do get together, they have babies and everything. And that leads on to one of the other themes of the book, which is his struggle to keep writing, to be creative when you have a family. He writes painfully honestly about his need to have time to himself to write. And in fact, it's almost immediately after Linda has given birth to their first child that he says that he wants to go off and have some time so that he can write. She obviously is none too pleased about the idea of being left alone with a newborn baby. The thing that's really exciting for me about Knausgaard's writing is that he seems to be able to write about really very ordinary things, but in a way that compels you to read on and to turn the pages. It's actually incredibly easy to read. Both of these books are quite big. The whole series of books together is about 3,000 pages, but you find yourself just flicking through them very, very quickly because he writes fantastic prose. The opening 60 pages or so of A Man in Love are a description of him going to a children's birthday party and the horror of that. I'm a young parent, I've been to a children's birthday party, I've been to the kind of party he's trying to describe, and I found that whole section hilarious and compelling and horrific and all the rest of it. And actually all he's describing is something very, very ordinary. He describes going shopping, he describes cooking. All of these things are very, very ordinary, and yet he manages to make them seem interesting. He writes also about landmark events. He writes about love in this book. He writes about the birth of a child. And there again, he manages to write about them in a way which isn't fantastical or poetical or anything like that. Very ordinary prose, but fascinating. It's the kind of thing I'm really failing to describe here, but trust me, try it. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I'm signed up for the next 4 volumes as and when they are translated. I can't wait, and I would really recommend you giving him a go. Anyway, next time we come back, I will be talking about another writer who got me excited last year, Patrick Flannery. His first novel, Absolution, was on my Books of the Year list, along with Karl Ove Knausgaard. His second novel, Fallen Land, is already out, and I'll be talking to you about it very soon. Bye-bye.